I will just check my voice quickly. I don't know if the audio is working fine. I hope the music is not too loud. Just check my voice quickly. I don't know if the audio is working fine. I hope the music is not too loud. Just check my voice quickly. I don't know if the audio is working fine. I hope the music is not too loud. Just check my voice quickly. I don't know if the audio is working fine. I hope the music is not too loud. Just check my voice quickly. My voice just got looped. Okay. Just trying to fix this audio quality here. So just give me a minute. Just trying to fix this audio quality. Hello, mic testing 1 2 3. So just give me a minute. I think the audio is much better now. Okay, then let's start. So today we are going to see how we can test the Flutter widgets and all. I was building projects, but I have not written the testing part till now. So in this video, in this stream, I'll read starting with the official documentation of Flutter. What are testing we have, the different kind of testing and all. And if we could use some packages or some kind of automation which will make our work easy, so we'll go with that. Okay, I will check once the video quality here, if it's stuck or not. Check once video quality. So what do we have here? Testing Flutter apps. The more features your app has, the harder it is to test manually. Automated tests help ensure that your app performs correctly before you publish it. Okay, so we had unit test a single function, method or class. Then we have widget test. In other UI frameworks referred to as component test a single widget. Okay. An integration test tests a complete app or a large part of an app. Okay, this integration test is okay, it will test a complete app or large part of an app. Okay, it will check multiple things together. The goal of an integration test is to verify that all the widgets and services being tested work together as expected. Okay, further, we can test to verify our app's performance as well. Okay, that's pretty handy. Generally speaking, a well-tested app has many units and widget tests tracked by code coverage. So, what does it mean by code coverage? I hope it's visible on the screen, but I have zoomed it to 110%. Okay, for coverage based on requirement. Okay. In software engineering, code coverage, also called test coverage, is a percentage measure of the degree to which the source code of a program is executed when a particular test suite is run. A program with high code coverage has more of its source code executed during testing. which suggests it has a lower chance of containing undetected software bugs compared to a program with lower code coverage. Okay, so basically the part of code that we are testing and how much we are considering for the test. So that is the code coverage here. Okay, we have to do some trade-off as well between different kinds of testing. Okay, here are a trade-off: confidence. Unit low, widget higher, integration higher. Okay, unit test will test the function less. We'll test the widgets higher. It's more. We will test all the widgets that we have written in the projects, the widgets we are using, and then integration test. Okay, the together multiple widgets or multiple functions, how it is working. So this is that part. Okay, confidence. Okay, maintenance cost low, higher, highest. Dependencies few, more, most. Okay, so for dependencies we will test more on one single method one or class. Execution speed, unit test quick, slow. Okay, unit test is quicker, widget is also quick, but integration is slow. Okay, unit test doesn't have much dependencies. Yeah, widgets will have dependencies. Like mostly we will pass some data, that kind of. Okay, let's start with unit test. I think better if we have some demo project to test or implement this. I think it will help us to understand more quickly. Okay, let's quickly check here. Okay, am I public or not? I think this all reviews is what I just saw. Okay, do we have some kind of setting? Let me just check on the YouTube studio here on my phone. Okay. Yeah, the video is working fine. Okay, we are here. Unit test a single function. Okay, the same thing is coming again and again. The goal of a unit test is to verify the correctness of a unit of logic under a variety of conditions. External dependencies of the unit under tests are generally mocked out. Mocked out. Okay, mock dependencies using Mockito. Use the Mockito package to mimic the behavior of services for testing. Sometimes unit tests might depend on classes that fetch data from live web services. This is inconvenient for a few reasons. Calling live services or databases slow down test execution. Huh? Sometimes unit tests might depend on classes that fetch data from live web services or database. Okay. This is inconvenient for a few reasons. Calling live services or databases slows down test execution. Yeah. A passing test might start failing if your web service or database returns unexpected results. Yeah, that's true. This is known as flaky test. Okay, flaky test. It is difficult to test all possible successes and failure scenarios by using a live web service or database. Therefore, rather than relying on a live web service or database, you can mock these dependencies. Mocks allow emulating a live web service or database and return specific results depending on the situation. Oh, it will be like fake responses. Generally speaking, you can mock dependencies by creating an alternative implementation of a class. Okay, write this alternative implementation by hand or make use of Mockito package as a shortcut. Okay, we'll use this Mockito package. Okay, let's first finish reading this part. This recipe demonstrates the basics of mocking with the Mockito package using the following steps. Add the package dependencies. Create a function to test. Okay, create a test file with a mock http.client. Okay, write a test for each condition. Okay, run the test. For more information, see the Mockito package documentation. Okay, I will surely see the documentation. So before that, let's finish this page. Okay, can I use this function directly in a demo project? With a mock http.client. In this example, you have learned how to use Mockito to test functions or classes that depend on web services or databases. I think we should just start adding the code in a demo project and let's see what happens. Widget tests. CP's introduction to unit testing, mock dependencies using Mockito. Introduction to unit testing. Okay, we are here and the next will be this screen. Okay, we can let's close this one, then we'll go serially here. How can you ensure that your app continues to work as you add more features? Okay, let's create a Flutter demo project. Flutter create. What name should we give here? Unit demo testing. Okay, demo testing. Okay, I have the main.dart file here, which is just gives us a counter app where we increase and decrease a value. Let's remove the comments here for now. Here we will try to add the unit test, the example code that we just saw. Okay, let's just remove one extra line here. Okay, it is now clean. So we have the main.dart file here, then we have test folder which it does test. This is the default. We'll not look at that for now. Let's continue with the example here. Okay, the test package provides the core functionality for writing tests in Dart. To add the test package as a dev dependency, run flutter pub add dev test. Okay, if we go to pubspec.yml, what do we have here? Let's remove this flutter fast. Okay, dev dependencies, flutter test. I think we do have flutter test here, SDK flutter. But let's run it again. No issue with that. Flutter pub add dev test. Okay, here something broke. Persons available. Okay, this line. Again, what flutter links? I think something got deleted. Okay, let's skip. commented text here itself. I zoomed in the VS Code a bit. Okay, let's see what is this command did just now. I just want to increase the terminal font size. Font size to 17 and code font size to 17 as well. Okay. Okay, this file. I think we just now added this package test in dev dependencies, so it is under this field. Provides a standard way of writing and running tests in Dart. Okay. Okay, let's follow this documentation here. Create a test file. In this example, create two files, counter.dart and countertest.dart. The counter.dart file contains a class that you want to test and resides in the lib folder. The countertest.dart file contains the tests themselves and lives inside the test folder. Okay. Not folder, we need file. File. Counter.dart. And then what we have to do is create a counter test.dart file as well in this folder. Okay, create a class to test. I think we have class in main.dart as well. Better to, oh yeah, we had. I think better to go with the documentation. Otherwise I may get lost. Okay. Paste it here. Oh. We have class counter. Then we have a variable int 0. And then we have arrow function. When I execute increment, it will increase. When we execute decrement, it will decrease. Okay. Okay, that much is fine here. Then what we have to do is inside the counter test.dart file, write the first unit test. Dates are defined using the top level test function. Okay. Import a test package and counter class. Okay, we have to create a main function. Then we have an instance of counter class. Then we'll call the counter.increment. Okay, expect counter.value comma 1. Okay, then it will check counter.value, compare with this one. Okay, that much is pretty much logical. So we have to use this expect function here. This is inside this test function. Okay, if the results are correct by using the top level expect function, tests are defined using the top level test function, and we can check if the results are correct using top level expect. Okay, it means then test function. I think I have to just import Flutter test. Okay, yeah, and then the definition of, let's check this. Inside test we have to description, then we have body. Okay, description, then we have body. So this is the description here, then this is the function body again, which will be get called when we run this main function. Okay, counter value should be incremented. Okay, let's write testing counter value. Then we'll have the function body here. Okay, function body. So here we have, so let's create an object here. Can we name it small counter equal to counter? I think I have to turn off this authorization. Okay, import the counter to top file as well. And what is this recommending me? Undefined name counter, try correcting the name to one that is defined. What do you mean by not defined here? We need to make it final. Let's add the data type as well. Okay. Next, we'll just do counter dot increment here, and let's tap counter dot increment will execute this incrementation and then expect. Okay, actual and method. Okay, so now let's access the value of value that is inside this object, this counter object. So counter dot value, now will match with 1. Okay, then what do we have? Combine multiple tests in a group. If you want to run a series of related tests, use the Flutter test package group function to categorize the test once put into a group. You can call Flutter test on all tests in that group with one command. Okay, if you want to do multiple tests altogether, we can put all these tests inside that group function. Let's put group function and let's add decrement as well. So if we just copy this and paste this here, and let's do group function. Okay, description and body. So does the body similar to what we did in test? Yes, it's similar. So let's do this here, and this it automatically get it. Okay, and here we have to do close curly bracket, and then this one. Further we'll do testing increment and decrement. Okay, here we have initial value, then we have the value after incrementation, then we have the value after decrementation. Okay, okay, let me just give space here. Okay, should we run this? Okay, let's fix this one. Here we are defining a new object again, so the value here is initial value is 0, then we'll do decrement, then here it will, the value will check against this -1. Run the test. Now that you have a counter class with test in place, you can run the test. Okay, VS Code, open counter.test file, go to run, start debugging. You can also press the appropriate keyboard shortcut for a platform. Start debugging, but if I start debugging, then it will run in a device. Okay, oh, if you are in this test file, then if we run and debug, then testing, it runs the testing, not in the device actually. Okay, this is new for me. Testing counter increment decrement, testing the counter value. Okay, debug console, terminal, test results. But we will only see this one line output. Testing the counter value after increment. Okay, testing the counter value. Decrement. So let's see now. Run and debug. Okay, here we can see testing the counter value after increment, testing the counter value after decrement. This is the old result. Okay, let's bring it to center here. Flutter test counter test dot start. To run all tests you put into one group. Okay, run test in a terminal. Okay, that is what I want. It's run in terminal. Flutter test counter test dot start. Oh, this is the command we have to use. Flutter test counter test dot start. Okay. All tests passed, but why we are not seeing it properly? Let me do once again. Running, all tests passed. Okay. Okay, so do we have verbose command here? Yeah, we do have verbose command here as well. So what do we can save in verbose? Way too much clutter is there. I think let's go to the documentation. To run all tests you put into one group, run the following command from the root of the project. Flutter test plain name test start increment decrement. Test start increment comma decrement. Is this just a simple text or it is connected to this? Okay, so this test start increment decrement, it may point to this group here. Let's try, or maybe it's just for convenience. Let's run this command. Test plain name plain name, testing counter increment decrement. In my case, the name is this one, testing counter increment and decrement. Notice run, notice match, testing counter increment and decrement. Okay, decrement. Okay, because we had added the space here, but we don't have space in the original one. Okay, that's not the case. Even that is not the case here. Okay, I have written description wrong, increment and decrement. Yeah, this time it got. Okay, this name, this is a description. This will point to this group function, which will run all the tests inside this group function. Okay, all tests passed. What will happen if we just run flutter test? Okay. Okay, this will run, I think, all this tests that we have in the test folder. Each one is the by default one, which is created when we just create the Flutter project, initialize it at first. I think here they have used test widget test. Okay, currently we are on unit test, Flutter test help. Let's just quickly check what are the commands available here. Oh, let's put it into less. Okay, we have run Flutter unit test for the current project. Noisy logging, okay, for servers, including all shell commands executed. Servers logging in those cases. Okay, device ID. Okay, why it is not going new line? Why it doesn't go up and below here? Okay, maybe due to the PIM mode I'm using in the VS Code. I will scroll and read. Okay, that's the command. Then reporter command, see how to print test results if unset value will default to either compact or expanded. Okay, reporter, a single line update continuously the default. Okay, reporter, we are getting this kind of output. A single line updated continuously. A separate line for each update may be preferred when logging to a file or in continuous integration. Okay, dasher. Let's use this dasher command. Actually, that is what I required. Means expand it. Okay, it is correct. Okay, yeah. Now we are getting the test output properly. Now if we test this slash counter, okay, this output is better. So it's loaded, then it tests the increment and decrement. Decrement value after this one, then it executed this one, and then we have all test passed. Okay, and if we add the plain command as well, plain name was capital or small. Okay, we add hyphen plain name. Let's make it shorter. Testing counter ink and tech. Yeah, okay. So we have learned here two commands. Either we will use this one or we'll just point out the file name. These are expanded. Okay. Okay, this is unit testing this much, and what do you have in the next mock dependencies? Okay, using a package. I think the name of the package is Mockito. Yeah, Mockito package. Here what we have. Sometimes unit test might depend on classes that fetch data from database. Okay. So how we will mock that thing if the data will while testing the data change will happen in a database, how we will handle that request and response. Okay, let's follow the steps here. Add the package dependencies. We have the Flutter test dependency already added in the dev dependencies. Next we have to add the Mockito. Okay, also they have added the HTTP package. Okay, that's understandable because we have to mimic the response as well. So let's add it here. Flutter App Dev Mockito. Then we have to use HTTP build runner as well. Okay, to generate, I think the code. Instead of manually writing, okay, Mockito, using the Mockito package, we can generate the code here. Testing. Okay, let's check how it works. And dev build runner. I hope I have written name properly. Okay, build runner. We have to add underscore here. Flutter pub add HTTP dev Mockito. Okay, Mockito got added, and then we had Okay, HTTP version 1.6.0, then this build runner. Okay, so okay, we have the build runner we just added and then Mockito. So we have added some of the packages in dev dependencies and HTTP on dependency. So I'm just curious that what will be the difference. Uh, is it regarding the building of the app that we have to put packages on different fields? Dev dependency. Okay. Dependency vector panel file. Okay, let's check here before going to ask AI. Will just try to understand from documentation itself how to specify dependencies. Okay, we just got the answer here. So a dependency defines a package that you need only when developing. Yeah, while building, we don't need those packages. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, a finished app won't need these packages. Example of these packages include test or code generation tooling, set the version constraint of packages in dev dependencies to have a lower bound. Okay, so okay, that's clear my doubt actually. Okay, so we are following this documentation. But by the way, we are using the HTTP package for this case only for testing actually. We don't have it any dependency in the app actually, and this is a demo app, so it is not app at it is not an app at all. So that scenario is also there. Okay, create a function to test the package dependencies. Okay, we added create a function to test. Okay, we have to again create a function. In this example, I need test the fetch album function from fetch data from the internet recipe. To test this function, make two changes. Okay, I'm just thinking, do I have to create another file, or I can put this in that counter.dat file itself? Fetch album. Okay, provide an HTTP client to the function. Okay, HTTP.client. This allows providing the correct HTTP client depending on the situation. For Flutter and server-side projects, provide an HTTP IOC client. For browser apps, provide an HTTP.browser client. Okay, for browser you have browser client. For server-side projects, provide an HTTP IOC client. So this is our app. So here I think we have two HTTP client only, or IO client. Let's see in the documentation actually. Use the provided client to fetch data from the internet rather than the static HTTP.get method, which is difficult to mock. Use the provided client to fetch data from the internet. Okay. Okay, for now let's copy this function only. Then let's close this one and we'll clear the terminal as well. Okay, can we add that here itself? Fetch album. Okay, point let's just copy paste it. And next we have imported the HTTP package here. And then after that JSON decode. Okay, dart convert. JSON decode. Okay, it will okay. Here we have to define the album class actually. So they have not provided album actually, album type here. So I have to see what data we are getting here. Client and responsibility with client. Okay, return album dot from JSON. Or will it generate create a test file with a mock http.client. Next, a test file. Following the advice in the introduction to unit testing recipe, create a file fetch alarm.dart in the root test folder. Okay, we'll follow this approach only. Create fetch album test. Fetch album test.dart, and then we'll just move this there. Okay, so let's import the HTTP package, then response equal to await. Okay, we are awaiting it. Then we have client.get function. Okay, it will create an object. Okay. Okay, this is the URL part. Then if response to status code equal to 200, we'll get the data as map as a map. Otherwise we will get exception. Okay. Add the annotation. Add generate mock custom mocks to the main function to generate a mock HTTP client. Okay, the way we created counter test, counter.dart file, not needed. Add the annotation to the main function to generate a mock HTTP client class with Mockito. The generated mock HTTP client class implements the HTTP client class. This allows you to pass the mock HTTP client to the fetch album function. Pass the mock HTTP client to the fetch album function and return different HTTP response each test. In each test, the generated mocks will be located in fetch album test.mocks.dart. Import this file to use them. Okay, what main file do we have? This is the main file here. We go to main.dart. And here let's delete this for now. Okay, I'm not deleted this one. B. Okay, here we have to add the annotation. Add generate mocks, custom mocks, mock spec http.client as hashtag mock http client. Okay, this is complex, but let's add it for now. And then we have to import Okay, import the mock as well. Package Mockito. Mockito main daughter. Okay, but it is showing error here. Add Mockito to dependencies, but we have added it in dependencies here. Put annotations as well. Okay. We have fetch album test. Now I'm missing something here. Add the package dependencies. Create a function to test. If we go to Mockito package here, okay, we added this much. Then what we will have is write a test for each condition. The fetch album function does one of the two things. Returns an album if the HTTP call succeeds. Okay, will this work? If we okay, let's add it to dependencies. Okay, then if we run dot run, will it, will it create any file? Okay, it's running. Okay, it's taking time. Okay, the mocks running the pulling command. Okay, I think I should just quickly check on this if you are deploying to end. Fetch data from the internet. Fetching data from the internet is necessary for most apps. Okay, we had the album here, the ID title. Okay, this will work. Convert this to response. Okay, market builder on two inputs to know spent in analyzing. Where is the mock files? I'm not seeing any mock files here. Okay, we are here. What else? Okay, we did those steps. Create test file with a mock HTTP client. The test file with a mock HTTP.client. Okay, then we have the main file here. Then Flutter album test start file. Okay, I think we have to move this here. So this is mentioned actually. Create a file fetch album test.dart in the root test folder. Okay. Now will this work? Let's see. Next, create a test file. Following the advice, the root test folder. I think we need a page album start. And then with main dot dart, uh, then in fetch album test dot dart, we'll add this one file, and Mockito main will just add mocking step dependencies. Album test dot mocks dot dart. Okay. Fetch album dot client. Okay, try importing the library, but we have already imported it. Still, it's not showing. Let's do clean once. Then in prospect.yml file, we have okay, we have the Mockito. Then if we do Flutter pocket, mock HTTP client. I think this will get from this page album place.mocks.dart. So here also we have group, then we have test returns an album if an HTTP call completes successfully, client mock HTTP client. Okay, we are using when we get the response, then okay, then this will run. Okay, it will give us this response. User ID, title. Okay. Throw an exception if the HTTP call completes with an error. Okay, so we have two. We can test two conditions here. One is for error, one is for when it's complete successfully. Okay, generate a mock client using the Mockito package. Create a new instance of this class in its test. Yes, it is created. Then naming the generated mock HTTP client to avoid confusion with mock client from naming the generated mock HTTP client to avoid confusion with mock client from package tp testing.dart. Maybe this causing issue here. Mock client from package tp testing.dart. Why it is showing could not find. Let's run the build runner once to see if it will create the mock files. We did create a mocks file. Okay, we can import this now. Yeah, now it is not showing error. But why is this? Okay, let's remove this. If it works without, okay. So we were in this part. Write a test for each condition. The fetch album function does one of the two things. Returns album if the HTTP call succeeds, throws an exception if the HTTP call fails. Okay. We have to use the same annotation here as well. Generate a mock client using the Mockito package. Create a new instance of this class in each test. Okay. So when we have to use this here, not in main.dart. Actually, it doesn't do anything, I guess. I will run the command again for creating this mocks to verify this actually. So we have fetch album test. Before that we have this class. This is how we'll get the response actually. User ID and title. And we have that factory function dot from session. This is the function that is doing the get request. Okay. And next thing must to do create. First one is this. The next thing is fetch album test.dart. Here we have to add the annotation, and accordingly we'll just add the dependencies. Using ID, user ID title, user ID title. Okay. Expect await fetch album client. Okay. Compare with is a album. Is a album. Expectation can be changed on top of the type using the type method or having method to add additional constraint. Okay, so what is this checking? Is it checking the type or data? Returns an album if the HTTP call succeed. Okay, we're checking if it is returning album or not. Is a returns a method that matches objects with type. Okay, it is checking the type of the object, not the contents that is inside. Okay, that's fine. As page album will also return an it's object only here. If we can go see, we'll get an object of album type. So okay, and the next test is about okay, it will just return us not found response, and we'll compare with fetch album client and throws exception between these two. Wait, did I do something? Okay, no. A method for function that throws exception. Okay. It will match, try to check this if it is an exception or not. Okay. I want to do Flutter clean again and delete this one. Git. Okay, next we'll try to get the mock files. It will take a time, so maybe 1 minute. Let's go to its documentation. Okay, the second function was about throws an exception if the HTTP call fails. Okay. Complete example. Okay, this is the main file. Okay, so here for testing this response from database and all, this kind of testing we are using main function. Inside that we have the test function and group functions, and earlier, okay, earlier also we had the main function and then test and group. That annotation part we have to add before the main here, which will create the mock files or the mock function to create the fake responses and all. Okay, so we have the test file, then we have mock file as well, then the album. So now we can flutter test. Now we are more clear on the flow how it will be. So flutter test will just choose the file, fetch test, fetch album test dot start, then that's expanded, loading. Okay, then we had fetch album returns an album if the HTTP call completes successfully. We're getting plus here. Okay, fetch album throws an exception if the HTTP call completes an error. All test passed. When client dot get is when function post expect. Okay, this we are getting this when function from the Mockito package mock.dart. Okay, when not equal to null. Oh, let's close this. No, it's our code only. Okay. So when we, according to this, when we do a GET request for this URL, it answers with not found 404 error. This is generated here, means in the code itself. So when we checked fetch album client, for this case, we are getting an exception, uh, which we defined that if the status code is not 200, then it will throw exception, as here we have the status code as 404. So hence it is throwing an exception, and that's why this is we're getting this true. And if we put this is a album, the test should not pass actually, because it will not match, because here it will throw an exception. So let's test it. It's clear what we had earlier. Okay. Now we can see loaded, then the first test successful. Next, fetch album throws an exception if the HTTP call completes with an error. This is the description. Then fetch album throws an exception if the HTTP call completes with an error. E is a static. Okay. Some test failed, +1 -1. Okay. One passed, one failed. Okay. But why we're getting some error here? If we don't use expanded, let's see what happens. Here, okay, I think it is mismatching, but we have also done an error, human error as well. It should be this. Okay, this function. If when we didn't give that function, then it was showing. Okay. It was showing something static. Okay, now if we do album test, expected instance of album, actual instance of future album. Okay, which is not an instance of album. Failed. I think, do we have to again create the mock file here? I think that's not the case. Let's check once again. So it is mismatching, so we are getting test failed, but still just want to confirm one last time. So we have reached the end of the stream for today. We checked the unit testing actually, introduction and mock dependencies using Mockito. We have the complete example also here, the Flutter example actually. We can just copy paste this one in the main.dart file actually. And then then build the app. Without building, also you can just test it. Okay, same function is there. I understand this part is the important here. I think I'll check more on this. This annotation means the meaning of each of these syntaxes that we are using here. I think it will be available here. Okay, let's check. Yeah. So we got our mock file. Now if we run this are responded. So we got, yeah, it's fine. So now if we do throw exception, it should pass. Yeah, now all test passed. Okay, that's how we will do unit testing. Generate mocks. Okay, I'll continue later on this reading about this generate mocks here. So yeah, that's all for today here. So let's end the stream. Hope we will meet again on the next stream.